Hey, welcome to the Board Game Chair, a Games with Trev podcast. I'm Monique and I'm here with Trev, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Usually on this podcast, we give you our first impressions of a game that we've just played, but today we're going to give you some of our favorite things about each card in Sushi Go Party. We wanted to go a little bit more in detail than making a video, so we could have just longer content. But for those that don't know, Sushi Go Party is a pick and pass card game. You have a pile of cards, you look at your cards, you pick one, and you pass it along, and you're trying to get matches. And so we're just going to tell you a little about each role first off. And do you want to start?
You got the first one.
Okay. So the first role we're going to talk about today is Uramaki. This one is possibly one of my favorite roles in the entire game. Even my favorite card in the entire game to play with because it's so fun, and I'll tell you why. So it's a race to 10 rolls. There's different amounts of rolls printed on each card, and the first to 10 scores 8 points, and this is scored immediately. And so it just makes it super fun because none of the other cards are really scored that way, and so it just spices it up.
Yeah, it's true. I think that this card really sets the tone of like the race in the game. Because sometimes the game can get kind of bland almost, and I think this one really spices it up because it's a race to get it, who can get the first, because it doesn't matter if you have it at the end or not. It's just who can get the fastest. And
I think with high player counts, this is super fun just because sometimes it's hard to get to 10. There might not be enough cards out. Everyone might have one single card in their hand, so it really just like you were saying, adds that race aspect to it.
True. The next role we have is called the Mahi role. This role, basically, it was in the base game, and it's pretty simple. It's not too crazy. There are little Mahi role icons on the top of the card, and you're just trying to get the most. So unlike the Urimaki, where you're trying to get to 10, it's just who has the most at the end of the round. And basically you can either get 6 points or 2 points or 3 points, depends on which player count you're at. But basically I just feel like it's a good base one. It's not anything too crazy or too special, but it's a pretty good card. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great base to start out with. I think you should at least probably have like one of those base cards in your menu when you're playing.
Yeah.
Because you get like a choice of how many different like cards. Is it 8?
For which? Yeah,
total,
you get 8 total
8
cards.
total in your menu. So I think definitely having 1 or 2 base ones are super important.
True.
Okay, the next one is the Temaki roll. This one again, I would say is like pretty base, pretty.
All the rolls
regular.
are pretty basic. They're not too crazy, to be honest.
The only one that's not is Uramaki, but this one is like if you have the most of Temaki, you get 4 points. Fewest, you get -4. So this one's really fun to play with, like the Cutthroat.
Even 2-player.
2-player, just because it adds just a little bit more risk as you're playing along into the game. Because if you're the least amount, then you're gonna have that -4, and it could set you back.
True.
That round.
Yeah, this card honestly it's really good when you're trying to like install competition to the game because there is that negative possibility, and it keeps the game pretty balanced. I feel like because it's not like just one person can get up there every round. You see the switch and the balance between it. I feel like.
I like that one.
So now we're gonna move on into the specials. Those were all of our roles. So now for the specials. These are where kind of some of the twists and turns of the game are. The first one it's called Tea. And basically with Tea, you can basically get, at the end of the game, you get a point for every card like in your biggest stack of cards. So like if you're going for Urimaki and you have like 5 of the cards and you have a Tea, then you get 5 points because you get 1 for each of those cards.
It's actually awesome.
It is pretty awesome. I think the only hard part is if you're not going, because a lot of these cards you have to diversify yourself. You have to have a bit of everything.
Oh yeah.
Because there's negatives and stuff. And so with the Tea, you can never really get above like maybe 4 or 5 points. So it's not like huge. just because you do have to diversify yourself. But it is a great card. It's good to throw it in the mix, and it's fun to get some extra points.
I think that's the good thing about it, though, is like it's not so powerful that when that card comes out, you always grab that one. Like it is so balanced with each of the other cards, where it's
True.
might take that one if it's working for the strategy that I'm playing with that game, or I might not.
That's true, actually. I guess that's a good point.
So I do like that about it.
What do you got?
Okay, the next special we have is called Spoon. This is for 3 to 8 players only, and you keep it to use later. Basically what you do, so you announce a card, the first player to the left with it in their hand gives it to you, and then you place the spoon in that player's hand. So it's kind of like a go fish sort of action, and it can be really helpful when you're trying to get those rolls where you need so many of a kind, or are just trying to not get the fewest.
True. It's good for combos as well. Like let's say you're playing with wasabi and you want to have that squid nigiri card. I think that this card is really great because you can call out very specific cards. You could just say, "Oh, I want a nigiri," and then anyone could give you, like the egg nigiri, which is 1 point.
But you want that.
But you want that squid, so you can say, "I want squid nigiri." But if no one has it, then you lose. Like you don't get to do it. So it's kind of fun. It can be good with combos, like I said, or to find like extra cards so you don't get negatives.
I think out of the specials though, the spoon's probably my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah. I like the other ones a lot.
They're really fun. The specials make it really fun. It gives like a little bit of spice.
Mm-hmm.
The next one we have is called soy sauce. So this one, basically, what you're going to do is you count up how many different types of cards you have.
Colors.
It's just by colors, yeah. So it says colors of cards because like the backgrounds is what you're going to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you have the most of the table, then you get 4 extra points for every soy sauce you have. So this one's all about diversification. You want one of everything, basically. But like the other thing is like it's only 4 points, so it's not crazy to do it.
If you have 2 soy sauces though,
that's true.
And you're the winner, like you get 8 extra points.
That's true.
From 2 cards, which isn't really possible with any other card. I feel like most of them will give you tops, maybe
a couple of them have 10 or a little bit more.
Yeah, but
not a whole lot. So yeah, it could be good if you get a couple soy sauce. That's true, but you have to make sure you have a couple of everything else. And if you have a couple of everything else, then you're not going to get a lot of points for everything else.
Yeah, true.
So it's a balance, I guess.
All of these are so well balanced. It's just like, it's such a good game. We played it so many times already that we had to take a break from it. But
yeah, we did. We played it way too much.
But it's so fun.
It's so fun.
The next special is wasabi. We briefly spoke about this one, but if you play wasabi and the next nigiri that you play is times 3. So egg nigiri is worth 1. The salmon, I think is what it's called, is 2, and then the squid is 3. And so this wasabi it's from the original game, just like the small regular game, and I was so glad they included it into the Sushi Go Party.
It's a great card.
Because it's so good. It really makes the nigiri not so awful.
Yeah, the nigiri is such a pain in the butt sometimes.
Yeah, because like a 1 point or even 3 points, it's just kind of, it's like your last resort. Because a lot of the other cards are a lot more high scoring, but this one brings those nigiris like back to a level where they're more equal among the other cards.
Yeah, I was going to say the nigiri are always the ones that are like the leftovers.
Yeah.
You're kind of picking out of. They're all right. They're not my favorite, but they're all right.
But wasabi, I feel like fixes that.
True. The next one is called chopsticks. Basically, what you can do is on your turn, it's kind of like the spoon, but instead of asking for a card around the table, you get to take an extra card from your hand. Which I do think is great because if you can see a wasabi and a nigiri in your hand and you have chopsticks on the table, then you can get both of those in one turn.
That's true.
And it's so powerful sometimes. And honestly, it just depends on like the combo of cards you have of like how good chopsticks will be. Because sometimes I just see the chopsticks left on the table and like no one uses them.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it really just depends on what your card set is. And like it can be good with some combos and just all right with some other ones.
I feel like that one's also like one of the specials that I'm a little more reluctant to use when it
True.
comes to putting them on the menu, just because it's so conditional.
Yeah, it's like, all right, it's not too crazy.
Okay, next special is special order. This copies the card. Copies any card?
It copies any card.
Copies any card when you play it. So it's like a wild.
But you already have to have a card on the table.
Yeah.
So
it's a card that's already been played.
Yeah.
This one's like, fine.
It's fine.
The fact that it's called special order doesn't make it any more special. It's just, it's fine.
Yeah, like the other thing you have to realize is like that card, it copies everything exactly.
Yeah.
Which is hard because we're going to see with some other things, you have to have like a diversification within the same set of cards, and it only copies the same ones. Like with fruit, it's going to copy the fruit exactly. Or with the, what's it called? The onigiri, it will copy those exactly as well. And so it doesn't make it super powerful, but it's like, it's all right. Like if you need an eel, like an extra eel, yeah, I guess that works. Yeah. But it's not anything too crazy.
Yeah. It's
all right. Okay. Now, the best card in the entire game. And I told you guys on the video I would talk about this one for a little bit. And I have a lot to say. This is the best card. And I'm going to give you my case.
What is the card?
Well, it's the menu. I forgot. You guys can't see. Some people. It's the menu. This card is the best card because basically when you play it, you get to draw 4 cards from the pile that wasn't used and pick one. And I think it's so good because sometimes with like certain cards, you don't have enough of them that are in play. And this gives the possibility to find them, and it puts the power back in your hands.
It's kind of scary when someone else plays the menu.
Yeah, it's true because you're like, what are they going to pull? What are they going to get out? Because once, like after like the hands have gone around once, like you've seen everything that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
And so like sometimes I look at the cards, I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's not this, there's not that. And so I'm like, what do I do? And I find the menu and I can save myself usually. I haven't had a time when I haven't gotten the card I wanted. But the menu is just so good. Like it's just so clever, I feel like, and it's different than all the other specials. And I think it honestly is one of the cards that like I would like to play with it every time.
I would say it's phenomenal at high player counts. At 2 players, 3, it's kind of like,
I guess that's true.
Not as good just because I don't know. I just prefer it as like playing it with high player counts.
Well, the thing is that this card can only be played with 2 to 6.
Okay, so 6.
So 6. not high, but high.
I think it's just nice with high player count because as you're looking at the cards, you're like, oh my gosh, the card I need is halfway around the circle, and by the time that hand gets to me, I might not get that card.
True.
But I know in the hand coming up next, there's a menu, so I'll play that.
That's true.
So it's like, it just increases your chances of getting
what you need.
When in a high player count game, a lot of the times you just get booted over and you just have one of everything.
That's pretty funny, yeah. It just is the best card, like just hands down. Like there's a lot of great cards out there, but
I think Trevin would frame it and put it on the wall.
I would. I do actually like the artwork too.
It's cute.
It's true.
That's another thing. This game, oh my goodness, is literally adorable. I love it.
It's so cute.
I also just like sushi, so it's just fun to see all
the rolls
it works
for her well.
I like to eat.
Now, quickly before we continue, because we're about halfway done, we will give you a word from our sponsors. And our sponsors this week are us. We are the sponsors.
Surprise.
As always, as you guys have noticed. We just wanted to say real quick, thank you guys for everything you guys do for us, for subscribing, for liking, for commenting, for being there, watching our videos. It's been so much fun. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's been the best journey ever. The other thing we also wanted to mention real quick, as everyone hopefully knows, and if you don't know, now you know, we're doing a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. So subscribe, because we're giving away So You've Been Eaten, a great 2-player game. It's definitely one of our favorite. It's got the best theme ever. A miner going into a beast to get some crystals while the beast is trying to digest him. It's so awesome. It's so good. We'll probably be doing a video on it soonish. Maybe a playthrough. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out.
So y'all should subscribe so you make sure to get this game.
True. hit that like button. Anyway, we'll continue now.
Special?
Special.
Okay, the next special is Takeout Box. This one, you can flip over any previously played cards, plural, and they're worth 2 points each.
This was pretty good.
Oh my goodness. I did like this one thing one time, and I fell in love with this card because of it.
Tell them what you did, because it's
literally, it was so smart. I did it, and I was like, oh my gosh, is this even allowed? But with the Uramaki rolls, they're scored at the very beginning.
No, they're
like,
scored
they're
as soon
scored
as you get 'em.
as soon as you get it. So it's like at the very beginning of the game most of the time. And so what I did is all these cards were already scored and they were just laying there in my hand and they weren't going to be scored at the end of the game. So I took Takeout Box and I flipped all these over. I had like 4 cards and now each of them were worth 2 points. So I had this stack that was scored once and then scored again.
Yeah, you got 16 points off that one stack of
just
cards.
because of that combo. And because of that...
Imagine if you would have gotten the T card as well.
Oh my gosh.
Free.
That would have been awesome. But because of I love this card for that reason. And you can do that even like with the negatives. If you see that you have the fewest and there is no way back, flip that sucker over. Now you got 2 points. Like, it's awesome. I love the safety net.
It's true. It is a good safety net. And like, it is one of those end round cards where like you're going to play it within the last maybe 2 or 3 round like hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, honestly. And like, it's not as good as the menu, but I will say it's number 2.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so good.
It's awesome.
Okay, moving right along, we're going to go into the appetizers now. And the first appetizer I have is called the eel appetizer. This is my second favorite appetizer. There's one above it, and Monique has it next. But this appetizer, if you have one of them, it's -3 points. But if you have 2 or more, it's 7 points.
This one's insane.
It's so good because the thing is like when you deal out all the cards, you have to be thinking to yourself, I have to find 2 of these. And everyone else on the table is thinking the exact same thing.
Everyone wants the eels every single time.
Yeah. Everyone else wants eels also. And so it's really hard because when everyone's going for the same card, everyone gets -3 points. And so honestly, this is one of the times where like the special order comes in handy or the menu, because then you could either use special order and make it 2 or use the menu to find one that's not been used. And so like it's honestly really good. And I just really like the card.
It's awesome. I like that one. Plus, it's just cute.
It is just cute.
You'll have to look it up. It's just like a little
man.
I love him. Okay, the next appetizer.
Number 1 appetizer.
Number 1 for Trev. I think it might be my number 1 too.
Tofu's pretty good though.
Yeah. Anyway, to continue, it's onigiri. And this one is scored by unique shapes. So each card has a different shape printed on it, different shape sushi. And as many shapes as you have, you can score up to 16 points if you have all 4 shapes. But this is extremely difficult. I don't think I've ever gotten more than 3 shapes.
I've done it once. I've done all 4 once.
But it is absolutely awesome. Like, I just love, like, same with the eel. Like, it's a race to get the onigiri. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody wants them because it's such a high scoring that everybody never gets it.
True. The other thing about the onigiri is like sometimes when you get your cards and you see that like purple pink back and you're like, yes, I got an onigiri, and you have the same shape that you already have, and so you have to let it go because like you don't want it because it's all about different shapes, not the same shape. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard, I feel like, sometimes to get it all. And like again, it all comes down to what cards are even in play, but it's so much fun. And it's so much fun when you can use it and no one really knows about it and you just kind of come up underneath. It's awesome.
So also look at the draw. Like if you play, you get your hand first off and you get the triangle onigiri, but then
the next person has to have a different onigiri than what you just played.
Yeah, and so if they had the triangle and somewhere along there was a circle that you could have taken instead, like...
It's so hard.
Oh, I love it. It's awesome. Great.
The next one is the edamame, and this appetizer, basically you get a point for per person that has one. So for an example, to make it sound easier, if we're playing with 4 players and 3 people had an edamame, then you would get 2 points. Because you don't count your own, you count what everyone else has. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'd get 2 points. This one's like, all right.
It's forgettable, and I would usually not. If I was making the menu, I wouldn't put this one in.
Yeah, this is one of those. This is like the Nigiri cards where everyone leaves it for the last part because no one really wants it because it's so based upon if other players have it, which is really hard. But I guess if you saw that everyone else grabbed one, then you might as well grab one.
There's just no incentive to grab one.
Yeah, it's nothing too crazy. I'll be honest.
Forgettable.
It's all right.
Okay, the next appetizer is tofu. And this one is also in like the base regular game. And it's just, if you get 1, you get 2 points. If you get 2, you get 6 points. If you get 3, you don't get more points. You get 0 points. Holy moly. If you get stuck with 3 tofus, you basically like lost your whole amount of points. Because 6 points, holy moly, that's a lot of points.
And yeah, it also takes 3 cards to do it, so it's a good chunk of that round.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's probably half if you're playing with 6 players.
No, it'd be less than that. It's like a third of the round.
Okay.
But still, it's still a lot of cards to just throw away to 0 points. And the thing is like a lot of times like you'll get 2 tofus, but there'll be 1 floating around.
And it's scary.
And then it's just whoever gets stuck with it basically, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, everyone always gets so angry.
It's true. All right, the next one is tempura. This one is pretty simple. If you have 2 of them, you get 5 points. So for every pair, you get 5 points. It's a good simple one. It's not too crazy. It comes out of the base game, so a lot of the base games are pretty standard, and I feel like it's pretty standard. It's nothing like too crazy. I throw it into the mix just for some good points.
Yeah.
Just to balance it a little bit.
Good base one as well.
It's a good base.
Next appetizer is sashimi. For 3, you get 10. So like the tempura, instead of a pair, you're getting 3 of a kind. And again, just a base.
Yeah, nothing too crazy, honestly.
It is high points. Like you get a lot of points for it.
But you have to get 3 of them.
It is really difficult to get 3 of them.
This is where that special order in the menu is going to come into handy if you got them.
Yep.
So,
I don't know if I've ever gotten sashimi.
I think we definitely had, because we used to not have the party box and just the regular.
Oh, I mean like in the party box. I don't think I've ever like gotten 10 points from sashimi.
Yeah, probably not. It doesn't happen
in the regular
often.
one. Yes.
Yeah, there's just more
but this
opportunities.
One's just hard.
Okay, let's see here. I believe I have the second to last. Monique has one more. This one I have is called the dumpling. Real quick, if you have 1, it's 1 point. 2, 3 points. 3, 6 points. 4, 10 points. And 5 plus 15 points. Shoo! This card, I feel like is a really great base. I think this is a better base than tempura or sashimi.
Yeah.
Just because you're able to score it from either 1 to 5 or more cards. And like it does have like a possibility for high point value, but it doesn't happen that often because everyone knows it, so they're going to go for it.
Or if they see that you're going for that, they're going to take that card, even though it may only give them a couple extra points.
True. Yeah, the dumpling's pretty good. It's not weird. I throw it in sometimes. I probably wouldn't use it all the time, but it's pretty good.
I like it. Okay, last appetizer is miso soup. This one's hilarious. I think it's probably one of my favorite appetizers because so if you play a miso soup and anybody else played a miso soup that same like time that you flip over cards, you all have to discard it. And so if you're the only one to play miso soup, then you can score 3 points and you get to keep that card. Otherwise, it's just like game over.
True. It's so much fun because it's such a wild card. Because a lot of times I feel like there's so many miso soups in the hands.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Every time there's so many of them. And it's like they always show up and everyone's always flipping them. So it's hilarious when you flip it over and you look at everyone around. You're like, oh, fetch.
And then it's just like you lose your turn basically.
Yeah, true.
It stinks.
So funny.
But this is one I would definitely add to your menu when playing this game because it's just It's phenomenal.
It's pretty good. It's pretty hilarious.
It's clever.
Okay, now we're moving right along into the dessert category.
The best part.
It's probably one of the best parts. I really like how they did this because, so now you play Sushi Go in 3 rounds. You used to kind of just go to the end of the cards or however long you wanted. It's kind of up to you. But you play this in 3 rounds. And every round you add some more desserts into the mix of cards for the possibility of being used. And the desserts are not scored until all 3 rounds are done. So they carry on. So you keep the desserts in front of you for all 3 rounds. And just because there's not very many of them, and basically you add more, like I said, and so you can basically acquire them throughout. So you don't have to like worry about getting all 4 in one round. Because for this one, the first one is green tea ice cream. If you get 4 of them, it's 12 points at the end of the game. And a lot of time, the desserts are the deciding factor of who wins. Because everyone kind of stays somewhat similar on the board, but it's whoever was smart and did the desserts correct. And especially with the green tea, to get 12 points at the end of the game, that's huge.
Unless you're really far behind because you got negatives and everything else you have going
True.
for you is desserts, which happened to me one time and I was so far behind. I was playing with my little brother and he was like, "Are we losing?"
Are we losing? And the answer was yes. Yes, you are.
Losing very badly.
So funny. But I really like the green tea ice cream. That's pretty good. Okay, what do you got? What dessert do you have?
Dessert is fruit. This one is pretty good. It's kind of like the onigiri, kind of. Again, it's scored at the very end of the 3 rounds. But you're trying to get a fruit per type. So there's 3 different fruits printed on the card: watermelon, pineapple, and oranges, like clementines or something. And sometimes on a card there'll be like all 3, or sometimes there'll be just a singular pineapple. But if you have like 3 pineapples and 6 watermelon, then you're going to score for each one of those. And that's awesome, because if you have 5 plus of a kind of fruit, a singular kind of fruit, you're going to get 10 points.
But there is a chance if you get 0 of a type of fruit, you get -2. So there's a chance to go down. So you have to make sure to get at least 1 of every fruit.
Mm-hmm.
That card I feel like is probably my favorite fruit. Just because it's probably my favorite dessert because it's just so different from every other card in the game.
Yeah.
I find it really fun and really crazy to figure out how am I going to get more fruit without everyone else taking them, because there's a very limited amount of dessert cards.
And if it's worth the risk.
True.
Of gaining those points.
True. Okay, for the last dessert and the last card of the game is pudding. It's simple. If you have the most pudding, you get 6 points. If you have the least, including 0,
I hate this card.
you get -6 points. So at the end of the game, this is a deciding card. -6 points at the end of the game is brutal. And like
you can lose.
You can lose real quick if you have the -6. And so honestly, get your pudding.
It's so annoying. I have a love-hate relationship with this card. I think it's really clever, but also, oh my goodness, getting -6 is so
annoying.
Yes, I become distraught.
I feel distraught. It's funny. Anyway, we'd like to thank you guys for listening. We went through all the cards of Sushi Go. It is probably one of the best party games. It's really easy to teach, really simple. And if you're thinking about getting Sushi Go or Sushi Go Party,
party all the way.
Always get Sushi Go Party. Sushi Go is good. It's pretty good. But for like $5 more, you can get a board and more options for cards. Treat yourself.
Literally.
It is so much fun. It is so much fun. And it's honestly probably the best party game. But anyway, we thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. And remember to subscribe, like, and comment down below if you love Sushi Go. See ya.